Good morning, hashtag biological nation. I'm switching it up a little bit from the biocell nation because we are expanding our thought patterns here today with a very interesting concept. And I'm going to introduce our panelists in a little bit here, but I wanted to give everybody an idea of why we're on the horn this morning and launching something new. And this was really inspired by a conversation with Devin McDougall from A&L Labs about the nature of their soil health test, which was 8 years in the making, which just came out this summer. And the exciting thing is now, I believe we have the tools for measuring some of the more esoteric questions in agriculture, like what does biological activity do in my soil? What does it translate to? And they've taken 20 of the top 400 metrics that they looked at and come up with a soil health index from both physical, chemical, and biological properties. So that's the foundation of our conversation. That is the foundation, to me, of why we're starting this Aberhart Ag Academy, because the challenge is we've had so many different conversations with so many different companies about products that it's hard to discern which end is up. But we've got a couple incredible products and services and people from companies that can really make this whole system hum. But we want to learn about implementation. So if you're listening to this, the Aberhart Ag Academy is about finding producers that we can grow with, that we can learn from and with, that we can partner with, that we can go on a journey together to try and answer some of these questions. Because the reality is, it's the farmers who write the check and implement this stuff. So what we're really looking for here, I'm not looking for the people who are already sold on compost, compost tea and rock dust. Look, if you're an organic gardener, you're already in heaven, right? But what about the large scale commercial conventional producer? I'm looking for people that are skeptical, so to speak, but also biologically curious. Okay, so are you biologically curious, and can we go on that journey together? And so the people that end up in this academy are going to experience support from the individuals on this webinar. Each of these companies have pledged to work with us to contribute in various ways, their time and their energy, in some cases capital, to make this happen. We're going to partner with you on the agronomy. We're going to provide product, and it's going to be a forum for trials, for new products, so we can learn together. And so you'll have the opportunity to network with producers from other provinces, and we want to get a nice cross-section of people to get these trials on. And the reason that this is urgent is because the Ecotea trial, the stubble digester, it's got to get enough sunlight and warmth on it, and the basalt rock dust needs to get applied because we want to get that freeze and thaw cycle on it. But what you're going to hear today is pretty incredible stuff. It's really, really incredible stuff, right? From the soil test to what Dale Overton's been working on with the Ecotea and the compost tea, to what Ryan Brophy is going to talk about with the basalt rock dust. So I hope that all makes sense. I hope that's all clear. Please ask lots of questions throughout the webinar. The format is that I'm going to briefly say hi to our guests, and then we're going to start with Jill and the A&L Labs test, because that's foundational. Then we're going to hear from Dale Overton from Ecotea on everything that he's been developing. And I think you're going to be really, really blown away by his presentation. And then we're going to hear from Ryan Brophy on basalt rock dust, Ryan Brophy from V6 Agronomy. So I want to say hi to each of our panelists, our guest panelists, our superstar panelists, one by one, and just introduce yourself in 1 minute or less, who you are, what you do, what your company does for farmers. So let's start with the lovely Jill Debenham. She's no stranger to the Aberhart Ag platform. Anybody who doesn't know, we've partnered with A&L to provide a free business account whereby you have the opportunity to submit tissue tests for free. You pay for the shipping. That's if you're a customer of Aberhart Ag Solutions through one of our trusted applicators, okay? So Jill, tell us who you are and what you guys do for farmers.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, so I'm the business development rep for Eastern Saskatchewan and all of Manitoba. I live in the southeast of Saskatchewan in Kennedy, if anyone knows where that is. Farm here with my husband, and I've been with A&L almost 2 years. So A&L is a full analytical lab. We have a full service lab offering of analysis. Basically, we basically can do most things when it comes to agriculture. So soil, tissue, we have disease diagnostics. We have a full lineup of products that we offer. We did work with Dan and Aberhart and you guys on the tissue tests this summer, and that was successful. I think, I don't have a full count, but there was over 200 tests sent in. So it was well looked after, well done. So yeah, so I'm here. I'm going to tell you a little bit more on the soil side and a little bit more about our new soil health test that we have on offer in a little bit.
If you're an agronomist, get ready. I'm telling you, it's a beautiful thing. Thanks, Jill, for coming on. Okay, and the next individual that we have is Dale Overton from Overton Environmental, better known in most circles as Ecotea. Good morning, Dale.
Morning. Thanks for having me on.
You bet.
Yeah, so basically our company was founded on the principles of building ecologically diverse communities, microbial communities for different plant growing systems. So, in 2008, I kind of developed an idea that we could build these ecological communities using microbial approaches to help with contaminated sites. And what ended up happening was we ended up finding that we were able to get a lot of plant growth promoters, and we developed some methods using worm farming and composting techniques to build these very functional microbial communities. We got some golf courses on board back in 2009. Craker Farms came on in 2010 with their potatoes. And now we have hundreds of customers. We've developed a whole line of products, and we think it's really cool. It's quantifiable stuff, and it's all based in actual scientific realm. Not
Science. Gotta love science. Yeah. And the science is crazy. Wait till Dale starts talking. Mind equals blown. And last but not least, Ryan Brophy, V6 Agronomy. What is it that you who are you, and what is it that you do for farmers, my friend?
Thank you so much, Dan, for having me on. V6 Agronomy, like Dale, we got things really rolling in 2008 or thereabouts. Before that time, it was crop consulting for farmers, generating cropping recommendations, predominantly for growers in Eastern Canada. But we're now positioned in Ontario and Saskatchewan. My focus remains crop nutrition, sourcing and supply of crop nutrients. My biggest interest has been developing seed-safe crop nutrients that are able to deliver the proper ratios to a given plant species, and focusing on starters and this and that. But as of late, bioavailability of crop nutrients and remineralization of soil platforms have, they go so hand in hand that to me, when combined with the science, the testing and the trials and everything, I think this is the way to really move things forward and to get the best response for the grower out of the products available on the market, for sure.
Saving the world. Saving the world. It's all in a day's work.
Nothing major at all, for sure.
It's exhausting. Well, Jill, you ready to ShamWow us with your soil health test Vitalis? It's Latin for something good.
I'm glad I'm going first after those introductions.
I'm glad I'm not really talking at all other than being the host, because I know nothing, Jon Snow. So
sure. So I'm just going to tell you a bit about our soil health test. Is this going to work? No, it's not going to let me move. Maybe I got to do it in the... I don't think it lets me move it when I'm in
Maybe you can just keep it in preview mode.
Yeah. Just gonna. Okay, let's try again.
Yeah, and keep the questions coming, and we'll do a little Q&A after each presentation. We want to keep each presentation 10 to 15 minutes here for a brief overview. Obviously, these are all big topics.
Okay, everyone can see that?
Yeah, it looks great. Roll
Now,
that.
Gonna
Thank you.
move forward.
Can you click on it? There you go.
There we go. I'll
Perfect.
just
That's
click
great.
on each slide. Okay, so our soil tests that we offer, we have a standard soil test. Obviously, I'm assuming most of you are aware of, and that basically understands your soil nutrients as well. It looks into your microbes as well for a standard test. Now, the Vitalis soil health test, this test was brought in 2 years ago. And so it kind of built on the standard test in that it added a soil health index. So it gives you a rating and it measures the microbial activity in the soil. So it's giving you a rating of how healthy your soil is from 0 to 60. And it kind of gives you an idea of if you have the good bugs in your soil, and it's a predictor for your yield. So I'll explain that a little more in a minute. And then the Vitalis Bio is our brand new test. And this is the one that Dan's excited about. And this one was just launched this summer. And so it delves a little deeper into the Vitalis soil health test in that it quantifies the beneficial microbes in the soil. So it's going to give you a rating and break out those microbes to show you what's in the ground and how active they are. So the soil health test, there's been extensive research done in our lab, multi-year research to show that optimal soil microbial populations will improve health, which in turn will improve your productivity and your yields. So this Vitalis soil health test was launched in the fall of 2018, so it's almost 2 years old. This is the one that's going to give you a soil health rating. So it provides an analysis and soil health index, which is correlated to yield. There's been 8 years of intensive research to show that these tests can predict yield, predicted yield to actual yield with a correlation of 93%. So it's fairly accurate, its ability to predict the yield. So there's 487 factors that are put into the soil health test and its correlation to yield. And these are just some of the main ones. So it's looking at your nutrients. You can see it's looking at your pH, your cation exchange capacity, and then it gets into some of the microbes, gram-positives, rhizobiums, pseudomonas. Let's try that again. Nitrogen fixers. So the soil health test has an index, as I said, from 0 to 60, 0 being poor, not active, and 60 being high. So the low Vitalis index, they don't support optimal microbial activity. So you're going to have lower yields and lower nutrient utilization. Whereas the higher the number, you're going to have greater activity, resulting in greater uptake of nutrients and higher yields. So there's been on-farm trial work to show that good health significantly improves the nutrient utilization and your crop productivity.
Jill, we just had a question there. RS at the end of the tests. What does this mean?
RS?
RS, capital RS. RS.
Like
RS
on the test itself? Is that what you?
I'm not sure.
Maybe
Can you go
when
back to this slide with the tests on it, or?
I haven't got there. It's the next screen.
Okay,
So
yeah.
bring it up.
RS at the end of the test. Yeah. Okay.
So this, if I don't answer that question, I will get back to it or find out. So
Sure.
This is the soil health test. This is what it looks like. So it has your complete test in it, in that it shows your nutrients. It shows the values. It has a fancy little bar chart to show you where you fall in terms of low to high. And then at the bottom, you can see the parameters, and it shows the results, and then it shows the optimal levels where it should be. And then it gives a soil health index on the bottom right side. So this one has an index of 40. So then that is the soil health index that was for this test. So this kind of just shows you what this test looks like. Now, this is the first test I'm talking about, the soil health test that was brought in 2 years ago. Just keep that in mind. And I'm not sure when they said RS.
Yeah, Bob, if you can be more specific on that, I'm not, we're not sure to what you refer at this point. So if you can give us some more information, that'd be helpful.
So then that was the Vitalis test. So this is the Vitalis Bio. So this delves a little deeper in that it quantifies those soil microbes. And this one was the one that was just launched this summer. So what is the Vitalis Bio? It's an analysis package that quantifies the level of functional groups of microbes in the soil that are associated with improving soil health. So these are your beneficial microbes. And how does it work? It utilizes selective carbon sources to measure the concentration of specific functional microbial groups within a soil sample. And it's specifically designed to detect microbes which have known beneficial functions.
Is that a separate test from the soil health test then, the bio?
They're two separate tests, yeah. If you ask for and they're two separate codes. If you ask for the soil health test, you're going to get that one I just showed you. If you ask for the Vitalis Bio test, you're going to get the soil health test I just showed you, plus this one that breaks it out more in detail. Perfect. So, and I'll show you the difference. So some of the microbes of relevance that are tested: Rhizobium, biostimulant, and disease suppressing microbes, Pseudomonas, gram negatives, and gram positives. So there's various factors affect the community composition, such as your soil type, your fertility balance, management practices, cover crops, the time of sampling, and crops grown. So this just shows a low soil health index and a high soil health index, the blue being the low, the orange being the high, and showing you how those microbe populations vary based on your soil health rating. So you can see the orange is the high test, your Pseudomonas, your nitrogen fixers, your rhizobiums, they are higher than your lower test. So it just shows that there's a strong relationship between the soil health and the different populations. So the advantages of the Vitalis Bio results are turned around within 3 to 5 business days. Our normal soil health test is 3 business days. This one takes a little longer because it has to measure the carbon that's released off from the soil. The results are correlated to soil chemistry parameters in the Vitalis soil health test, and it can be tested in a bulk soil sample. So then this is what it looks like. So you're going to get that first Vitalis test that I showed you that showed all your nutrients and it gave you your soil health rating. And then this next page you're going to get, and it's probably really hard to see, and I can't make it any bigger. I'm sorry. Maybe I can. It shows your no, that didn't work. Sorry. It shows your microbes and it gives the value at the top. So this one here says Pseudomonas, and it has a value of 10,780, and then it shows it on the bar chart that it is in between good and high. So then nitrogen fixers, rhizobium, gram positive. So it goes through and it lists them all and shows you your value for them. So when you do the Vitalis Bio test, it is more in depth, and it gives you this second page. So basically you're getting 2 tests in one package. You're going to get your soil health test, which has your soil health index rating and your standard soil fertility test. We also do crop recommendations if the customer asks for that. And then you're also going to get your Vitalis Bio test, which quantifies the level of microbes and in the soil that are associated with improving your soil health. So the good microbes in the soil, it's going to break those out into that test as well. So you get 2 tests in one, basically. So this just basically says the same thing I just said. One combined analysis. Our submission code for this is SH Test 3. If you just want the Vitalis test, it is SH Test 1. So they are different codes. Not much different than sending a soil sample in. You just got to make sure if you're using our soil bags, you have a full bag of dirt. Whereas in a complete soil test, you just have to go to the line on the bag. This one, they need a little extra soil in order to do that. So how to order, for anyone that wants more information, my phone number and email is on this page. You can reach out to me. You can phone the lab. If you already have an account with A&L, you can, if you need help, you can let me know and I can help you with the submission form and getting you set up for that. But all the information is there and I am here to help however I can.
Amazing. So just to circle back to this original question on the RS at the end of the test, that's the slide on the 487 factors. RS. Oh, sodium RS. Magnesium RS. RS. K-Mag RS. pH RS. CEC RS. PHLD RS.
Yep.
Percent saturation RS. No, do you know what it is, Jill?
I don't, but I'm going to find out before we're
Great
done
question.
this morning.
I could take a wild guess at it. I would say like really spectacular.
Yeah. And S is just spectacular.
Do you test for fungi? If so, anything in specific, Jill?
That specifically, I'd have to find out, to be honest. You're delving in an area that I'm not an expert in, but I will find out.
Okay, no worries. Danny Ottenbright says, yes, it's very, I said that. Shouldn't be reading my own quotes.
Who
Danny
asked
Aberhart said, yes, it's very exciting. Danny Ottenbright says, this is super helpful going forward. In the
Who asked the
chat,
question on the fungi? Sorry.
Tyler Wilson.
Okay.
Tyler also asked for soil health. How do you distinguish biology from a spot where the cattle have relieved themselves, quote unquote, and where they have not, on fields that have cattle on them in spring and fall and winter when looking at samples? You're a cattle person at heart, or in theory and in practice. Jill, what do you say?
That's tough because you're not exactly going to know where that is unless you can physically see. What we recommend when you do your soil health test is that you take 2 samples per field. So you're trying to pull from points of high producing areas and points from low producing areas so that you can see the difference in your fields. When it comes to manure, you're going to have to factor that in, but I don't know if there's a way to say, where the cows have been exactly and pulling soil from there. I guess it's
just a test. The test can't tell you, oh, a cow peed here.
Right.
You might be able to infer that based on where you take it from. How deep does one dig from the soil test from Dale Overton?
Good question. This one, 0 to 6. You just need your 6 inches for this test.
Would you like to expand to the UK? Because David Badger, Herod, they called him Badger. I wonder what the story is behind Badger. Do you charge for this service? Any competition? Is there any competition to what you do, Jill? It's just clean air out front in front of the big soil testing race.
In terms of this analysis, this specific test?
I don't know. He didn't specify. I'm thinking yes.
I would think there's other people out there trying to do it. Greg, the owner of A&L, he has spent many years researching and testing. So I can't speak to that and who else does it and how it compares to ours and the validity of it. But
if there's someone else, I mean, Jill's still the best. Let's be real. Scott Gibson, is there best management practice for this biotest or same as regular soil testing?
It is the same, other than I said, you're good to pull two spots, a poor producing spot, pull cores from, and a high producing spot, and send in 2 samples and do 2 tests on a field.
Just in case anybody's wondering where David got his name Badger, Badger's twofold. It's his hair, and that 2 badgers don't give up, especially honey badgers. Check it out. Google it. Google that on YouTube. Google honey badger on YouTube on a Friday night. That's all you need to do. Okay, so I think that's great, Jill. We're at half past here. So we want to keep it to 15 minutes per slot. This is so much goodness in each of these presentations, but I want to hand it over now to Dale Overton, who has been revolutionizing the whole compost tea conversation for quite a while now. And I first ran into the whole concept. I mean, I've heard a lot about Ecotea all over for a long time, but I ran into a retailer of it, a seed grower in Southeast Manitoba, who said they've been really enjoying the product and seeing great results, and really love the whole concept behind it. And I just thought, why are we not involved in this? So I phoned Dale, and we've been having conversations ever since. I thought the Aberhart Ag Academy is a perfect way to discover what this technology can do for producers. So Dale, take it away, my man.
All right. Well, thank you again. I'll try to make this as fast as I can. I'll be speaking fast because there's probably lots of information here. So again, this is really going to be about Ecotea, kind of why and how I designed it, and kind of some of the science behind how it works. So we all know in conventional agriculture that the typical way nutrients flow in a system is governed by pH. And this really doesn't tell you about anything else except the chemical relation on how nutrients flow in a solution. So biology is completely overlooked in this scenario. You know, and I think that that's really wrong, as Jill kindly went over earlier on about the importance of doing biological testing. So soil's not just dirt, soil's alive. It has an immense functional role in the global ecosystem, from, you know, capturing carbon and providing, you know, basically plant growing systems. Again, 50% or more of plant biomass is actually under the soil. So for us to not to consider what's happening biologically under the soil is kind of, you know, really blind on our parts. And again, it houses a huge functional diversity of microbial life. You know, we probably know more about the moon than we know about the soil. So this photograph really just kind of gives you an idea of how soil and plants interact from a colloid level. So here you have a plant root hair. You've got bacterial endophytes and bacterial colonies that colonize those root hairs. They actually can modify the pH of that rhizosphere so that micro or elements become more available and whatnot. You have mycorrhizal fungi, mycorrhizal hyphae here, also basically infect the plant to help with phosphorus mobilization and water dynamics. Actinomycete bacteria. You've got decomposing plant cells over here with amoebas, ciliates, and flagellates. These are your protozoans. They consume all of those bacteria. This is kind of all happening right in and around the root zone. So, you know, just the activity of your protozoans releases a huge amount of nitrogen that's immediately available for plant uptake. You know, and again, you've got a really good soil aggregate. So if your soil looks like this, you know, not a lot of that stuff is really going on. You're really going to be reliant on heavy chemical processes to really grow a crop in this type of a soil, you know, coupled with irrigation or what have you. Whereas this is a photograph of a really nice soil. And in other presentations, I'll get closer, and I get so close that it shows you exactly how it replicates that photo that I just, or that picture that I just showed. So this is a really nice soil. It looks like ground beef, cottage cheese. You got good airflow, good water penetration. You'll see some crop residue there as well. This is really what you want your soil to look like, just from a visual standpoint. So again, microbes have been ignored. Fertilizers replace microbes. Period. We use fertilizers in a lot of cases to replace the role of microbes. I think instead we should be using fertilizers to augment the role of microbes as opposed to the other way around. Fertilizer overuse in tillage has a negative impact on important functional microbes. So basically, in most conventional systems where you're tilling, using your fungicides and herbicides on a regular basis, you really decimate this whole functional, or the actual important the plant important microbes. Soil oxidation and mineral export, they're just not sustainable, right? When you oxidize your soil, you're basically releasing the carbon that's stored in your soil, so you actually inherently reduce your organic matter. And again, it's not sustainable in the long term. So understanding how microbes function in the bulk soil is vital to creating a sustainable ag. So here's just an example of a fungi. This is what a fungi looks like under a microscope. Sorry? Oh, hello? Can you hear me? Anyway, so this is a sporophytic fungi that basically will consume heavy to digest carbon residues without sucking up nitrogen. Here's another photo. These are actually taken from solution from our Ecotea product. So again, this is kind of delineating what Jill was talking about. So new techniques reveal the truth on microbes. Maybe going a little bit further than what Jill and A&L Labs does is DNA testing has paved the way to really understanding the who's, the what's, the where's, the when's of the microbial world. Extracting DNA from bulk soil and the rhizosphere and testing for functional genes like phosphorus solubilization can help to understand and benchmark soil. This is probably a little above and beyond what A&L is doing, but I think that what A&L is doing is perfect for farmers that are getting into this, taking it to that level. This is more if you really want to take it to the next level. And again, this tool is what we use in our company. It's a tool that can help us isolate and discover functional microbes that have roles in plant growth, disease resistance, plant growth and development. It's called bioprospecting. This is what the Monsantos and everybody does. They find the microbe, they culture it, and then they try to get some intellectual property on it. This here is basically an idea of the type of data that you get from one of these DNA shotgun analyses. So along the x-axis here along the bottom, we have a whole complementary group of bacteria. And here on the y-axis, these are actually the different products that we manufacture at Overton Environmental. So we have our chitin compost, that's wood chip based with lobster shells added. We've got our wood chips compost that we use a special recipe of wood and inoculants for. It's aged for 2 years. We have our worm castings, and then we have our controlled microbial compost. And what this shows us is where each one of these groups of bacteria come from. So we can get an idea of how we can actually grow and stimulate these specific microbes using, ecological engineering as opposed to batch culture. This is kind of a breakdown of that same diagram, except more on a pie chart. And what you'll see here is really cool. So once we actually take those ingredients that you saw there, and we apply our microbial foods and growth products to the solution to create Ecotea, after you brew it up and you add these ingredients, these are the types of organisms that you'll see in that final system. So here you got your rhizobiums, your azospirillums, Bulchodaria. What's really cool is we really select for high levels of these plant growth promoting Pseudomonas. So as Jill was saying, Pseudomonas is important on the A&L test because they have a really solid role in plant growth and promotion development. So they actually contain all 5 of these different categories here. So you got, micronutrient, nitrogen fixing, antibiotic producing, phytohormone producing, and phosphorus solubilizing. All right, so we can actually look and see exactly what microbes we have en masse. And then we can determine how to feed them and grow them specific to different systems. So I call it ecological engineering. So it's understanding how soil type and planting regime can influence soil biology, understand what demands each crop has, and how microbes can supplement fertilizer. So it's a more holistic approach. This approach does not get rid of fertilizer. It does nothing of the sort. Our whole goal is to help farmers reduce the amount of inputs that they're applying and maximizing their outputs at the same time, which inherently just improves net profitability. And that's really what we try to do. So using microbes to improve plant growth and development, using microbes to recycle crop residues or trash back into the soil. So for example, in this case, we're using a really fungally dominated blend with lots of sporophytic fungi that are most likely missing from most agricultural soils. So for important functions, we just went through them: nutrient mineralization, nitrogen fixation, antibiotic production, phytohormone, organic management. So nutrients, we all know that soil contains nutrients. Bacteria and fungi produce enzymes that liberate these cations and anions from the clay and humus fraction of the soil. They fix nitrogen and they help to cycle nutrients as well. some of the enzymes that are produced, nitrogenases, phosphatases, polyphosphatases, kinases. This just gives you an idea of the diverse array of enzymes that do these things mean that you need to have a diverse group of organisms that do it. So, in our case, we're looking at diversity. And again, root exudates released by plants will signal functional microbes. Like a plant will be like, I need phosphorus. It'll send out a signal into the rhizosphere to stimulate phosphorus liberating bacteria and fungi. Phytohormone production, you got auxins, gibberellins, abscisic acid, ethylene, they're all plant hormones. There are actually bacteria and fungi that produce plant hormones to directly influence plant growth and development. Many of these particular types are actually pathogens. So pathogens will get in and they actually influence hormone, the way hormones work in plants. But then there's a lot of ones that actually produce plant hormones, like indole-3 acetic acid. So Pseudomonas produces indole-3 acetic acid. And many of these bacteria are associated with earthworms, right? So again, root exudates released by plants signal the activation of certain microbes. Where I think it gets really cool is antibiotic production. Many antibiotics are produced by microbes. So again, bacteria and fungi, actinomycete, they've all been identified to produce antibiotics. And many of them, again, are associated with earthworms. That's why we farm earthworms. We have a large earthworm farm. We farm earthworms to grow the types of microbes that are typically really important for plant growth and development. And again, if a plant gets attacked by a pathogen, it actually sends out signals into the soil that activate antibiotic functions in the soil, which is really cool. There's some research that's just coming out on this stuff. This is just an idea. Anybody that wants this presentation, I'm happy to share it if I'm going too fast. This is just gives you an idea of antibiotics that are produced and the actual organism that produces them. And what you'll see is you got streptomyces, streptomyces, streptomyces. Streptomyces are inherently associated with earthworms, and actually some of these bacteria were isolated from earthworms, which is really cool. This is just to show that the microbial community in Ecotea specifically can help to suppress pathogens. On the left, you have a pathogen called pink snow mold. Golf courses are riddled with it, grown for 7 days at 4 degrees. Here you have that same pathogen with 1 drop of Ecotea. And what you'll see here is every little thing that you see in here basically is a different group of organism that has a different function that's helping to outcompete the pathogen or directly, in this case on the right here, directly kill it. That was penicillium there. Residue breakdown. Again, everybody knows that trash is an issue. We want to reintegrate that trash back into our soil because it houses a lot of minerals and carbon that we really don't want to be exporting from our soil. And we want it to reintegrate. So we want to have those microbes there that are responsible for doing that in a timely fashion. If you've got a lot of trash following a corn rotation in the spring, you're going to have to put down significantly more nitrogen to handle that breakdown. So bacteria will break down the simple carbon compounds. They also degrade complex carbon compounds, but they use nitrogen to do it. So when you don't have a lot of fungi in your soil and you got a lot of crop residue, you will actually have a nitrogen draw. But if you got a lot of fungi in your soil, they don't actually draw down the nitrogen in your soil. They release organic acids that break out the cellulose and the lignins that break down that carbon. So having fungi in our systems, specifically sporophytic fungi that break down organic matter, are very important to improving the health and tilth and structure of our soils. So here's an example of Nick Boundy, who's a customer of ours in Boissevain, Manitoba, put down some of our product on a hutterite field that they were renting, actually. So you've guaranteed it was abused. Sorry, guys, but it's true.
No, it's all good. It's funny.
So anyway, this was 10 days after he had applied our product. Sorry, the sun's coming through my window here. I'm not sure if everybody can see me. So that photograph is of actual sporophytic fungi colonizing rye stalks from the previous year, right? And here's just an idea of where he put it in with some hemp stalks. So again, things like corn, heavy wheat stubble, flax, hemp, these kinds of things, fungi can really be used to break these really hard to digest compounds up fairly quickly in compared to bacteria. This here was an experiment that Ken Sabache, he's the operations director at our company, ran last year. And here we've got corn stalks that he collected from a field on the left that basically had no Ecotea applied to them. They were just put on the soil, kind of mixed in. After 14 days, you'll see that there was nothing happening. On the right-hand side, this stubble was sprayed with our residue digester, mixed in with the soil, very similar to the other one, and then left for 14 days. And then as you can see, 14 days later, there's fungi growing all over this stuff. And you could actually pick these stalks up and break them apart in your hand, like they became brittle. Whereas the stuff that wasn't treated with Ecotea, was tough as nails. You couldn't, So again, just really exemplifying, if you have the right fungal blend, you can really speed up carbon degradation. And this carbon's not going anywhere. It's going back into the soil. And once the food's gone, these fungi, they're not harmful fungi. They'll just remain in dormancy until there's more residue to come out, and they'll come back, right? It's an ecosystem. Unless you're tilling and doing other practices that'll kill them. So again, you can see that there's fungi all over these stalks, right? And these were just simply sprayed on and just integrated into the top couple inches of the soil. So how do you quantify and justify? I think Jill really did a good job in explaining how A&L Labs quantifies soil health. I think all of their stuff is proprietary. There aren't really many labs doing that type of testing. The only other labs that I can think of that do similar things would be like Ward Labs out of the US. They do the Haney test and things. And I think that this is just modified Haney testing in some ways. But I think it's great. So anyway, so this is just a very simple soil health report that A&L does. I think it's very cheap. It gives you what they call biological quality, CO2. So they're basically measuring the amount of respiration that's happening in that soil, which gives you an idea of how much microbial life there is. And then the approximate quantity of mineralizable nitrogen in pounds per acre. So these are just three metrics that I think are really, really strong for predicting what microbes can do. And I think this test is fairly cheap. So here you've got sample, it says 1E, so this is taken from Southern Ontario, done by Thompson's Agronomy Solutions. They were our partner in Southern Ontario. So here you got organic matter of 4.1%. Field is 1 with Ecotea where the E is. So this is an Ecotea field. So what you'll see is you've got fairly good activity. Biological quality is okay. This was after one application. So again, you're not going to see miracles. It's a transition in terms of our thinking and philosophies. But approximate quantity of mineralizable nitrogen here is you're looking at about 50 pounds of nitrogen that's going to be mineralized by that bacterial community over the course of that season. And what that allows you to do now is reduce the amount of nitrogen, that you're putting in on the front end. The other thing, a lot of having a really healthy bacterial and fungal community is the nitrogen you do apply won't leach off and gas out. It will actually stay in that system. So it becomes a much more stable form of nitrogen, and then the plants can have it for a much longer term. And I think that this is one of the reasons you see really good results from having a really healthy soil biology. This here is another field. This is sample 1E, organic matter was 4. Similar biological quality, much higher respiration rate, but then again, you're still seeing only 2 pounds more mineralizable over the course of that year. And again, you don't get the whole soil health report as you would with the Vitalis testing. So again, if you want any more information, you would have to go into those types of tests to really quantify what that's doing. I think there was one more here. Oh, sorry, I thought I had 3. 1E, 1E, 1E. This one's, yeah, okay, so this one's a little bit different as well. But all very similar. This one's got 56 pounds of mineralizable nitrogen. So whatever it is that they use to, monitor their biological quality, I'm not sure what test that is, but then you hear, as you see an increase in respiration, you'll see an increase in mineralizable nitrogen. And Ecotea helps to do that. So our Ecotea product contains basically all of those groups of organisms, and we've tested it time and time again, and we've been seeing some really good results. We have a seed dressing product that is really highly compatible with seed, and we've seen some phenomenal results with that product. So I'm happy to share this presentation and answer any questions anybody has. That's it.
Excellent. I think I just need to take a breath now. It's intense as can be. To do it justice, we got to circle back and talk more. But just on the functionality, we want to, in Aberhart Ag Academy, one of the big things here is we want to get some of this down, see how that stubble digester works, So some of the questions that we've got here now are more practical to how, Danny Ottenbright asks, how is the Ecotea applied to the corn stalks?
So basically, once the stalks are chopped and basically on the soil, you would then come in and spray the tea on either front mount sprayer on the front of your tractor, followed by a light cultivation. So a 2 to 3 inch disking, and then that'll just integrate that in with the soil a little bit. You really want to have soil contact because if it's just on the surface of the soil, you're not going to get the same functionality out of the fungi that you do when you get a little bit of soil contact, right? They're soil organisms. The sun, they don't like the sun very much.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, would you
And
like me to?
When do you apply Ecotea?
When do you apply Ecotea?
Yeah.
Well, we have various programs. So we have a seed dressing that you can use in the spring that's very cost effective. We have an in-furrow product. What's going on? Is my computer?
I just turned it off.
Oh, you did. Thank you. I was going to say, my computer restarting. I'm like, no.
No, we're good, man. We're still live. Still rocking.
Yeah, and then in the fall for again degrading crop residue. So it really depends on what your objectives are. That's kind of dictates what type of a program you would use with Ecotea, because there's various things you can do.
Yeah. So the question is it liquid or granular? How is it applied? But I think it's both, eh? Like it's.
Well, the residue digester would be a liquid. Everything comes as a liquid. We have one product that's a dry seed dressing that you would put on your seed dry. It's like a powder, very similar to like the earlier renditions of the rhizobium inoculant. But other than that, all of our products are liquids.
So Rob Sake is asking, do you have research on how much or how quickly you increase soil carbon? Can you quantify it? I'm thinking about getting my carbon offsets.
We've had some customers actually monitor that and see increases. It really is a tough question to answer because it varies so much on soil type, planting regime, but that's definitely something that we're looking at. We actually have a large composting facility out near Simplot and not Steinbach. That's our
Portage
facility in Portage. Yeah. So we're actually doing full carbon cycle monitoring on that full cycle carbon monitoring on the compost we're producing from the waste produced by Simplot. So it's really cool. It's going to be a really cool life cycle study on carbon.
And apparently Danny Ottenbright wants a microscope, but he's also getting a little interstellar on the light rays coming on your Zoom. So that's pretty psychedelic compost tea. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
Let me turn around.
Gives you kind of an evangelical bent to it. But I know, so folks, to be fair, there you go. That's awesome, Dale. And we need to spend an hour webinar, like a series of it. We need to have lots more conversations on it. It's all good, but I really appreciate that presentation. But this last question from Robert Sake is an excellent segue. We probably are going to go over a little bit over time. I apologize I respect everybody's time here, but we have to get to the truth. We have to get to the bottom of all this. That's our goal. So I'm going to switch gears and tell you a little bit about why I'm excited about this basalt rock dust, because I had a customer actually send me an article about this very concept. And the article came to me out of the blue because we got the spreading network, and it was, can rock dust save the world, essentially? And I didn't know what to think about it. This is a couple months ago. I'd never heard of it before. And of course it makes sense because, if we can spread it, maybe there's a business model there. But as I looked more into it, I realized this is a thing. This is a thing. The bottom line is there's a lot of people around the world talking that this can capture more carbon than planting trees can. And if this is applied in healthy doses to soils around the world, we could essentially be into the zone of terraforming. And what I love is the concept they're already doing in Australia is legislation, and they're already playing in the market. You measure your carbon now, which we want to do in this program. At Aberhart Ag Academy, we want to start measuring your carbon. Then you measure it in the future, and the difference you get paid, because what you do is you capture the carbon, you convert it 3.5 times the carbon dioxide. That's how many tons you got to sell to the bad guys of the world. Well, they're not bad guys. They're, producing goods, but to offset the, whatever they're doing, they have to buy carbon dioxide on the market. And this is something we're looking at as a big play, being an environmentally friendly fertility company, as everybody knows we are. This is an incredible thing. And there's so much push coming from this direction. The angles on this basalt product Ryan's going to tell us about, we're going to have a conversation about, has remineralization qualities. It's the stuff of life. It literally feeds the biology. It's in the Ecotea, as part of that program. We know that it feeds the biology, but I'm telling you, if society wants farmers to take CO2 out of the environment, hey, Bob's your uncle, pay us. Like, I think this is a thing of beauty. We could be getting paid to remineralize our soils. And it's very exciting. Ryan's got 5 million tons of a very specific volcanic rock dust. And I also think we might have a special surprise because I've seen somebody join the webinar that I want to specifically talk to. But don't just take our word for it, okay? We didn't make this stuff up. We're merely the messengers here, but I wanted to show you guys this and see what you think. Let's go full screen and take a look at this before we hear from Ryan. Let's, you can see that, Ryan? We're good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's see it. It's 1 minute video here. I understand you guys can't hear the audio. I'm sorry I didn't choose the audio. Usually on these Zooms, you got to choose the audio, but hopefully you could read that and you missed all the inspiring music, but hopefully, I could have played my guitar. I guess I could have my guitar ready to fill in the gaps there, but I did not. So I just want to go to gallery view here so I can see. Okay, Ryan Brophy. What is the deal with volcanic basalt rock dust, and why should I care if I'm a farmer?
Over a year ago now, I was asking the same thing of myself, for sure. We're looking at what are the limitations with the use of conventional fertilizers. That's been a big focus of what we've been working on, as I mentioned. But it's all been about plant ratios, bioavailability. What is that plant able to access? And in many instances, the biggest issue that we've encountered when you're looking to maximize yield and ROI is, is that soil healthy enough to render these nutrients available to the plant? So when it was presented to me by a colleague of mine of many years, who I'm sure is on this webinar right now, we were talking about the revitalization of native soils. So logically thinking, if you're able to revitalize that substrate within which that plant is grown, then you should have better nutrient use efficiency. And so we started digging into what is remineralization. And it fits in so beautifully to this regenerative ag discussion that we've been having as of late. And then by a colleague, I was sent pulverized basalt, when applied to soil, stimulates microbial production and encourages the fixation of carbon and nitrogen through assimilation. And essentially what all of that means is that this product is a catalyst to the processes that Dale was just talking about. And, we'll be able to monitor these changes, again, as Jill had mentioned, with the tests that become available. So my feeling is that why not look into this more deeply? So I'm very pleased to have aligned myself with professionals in the field, Tom Vanacore, Rod Apple in the US. These are gentlemen with decades of research and knowledge in the handling of rock dust. The analyses that have been done on this is nothing new. I mean, this is a product that's been around for tens of millions of years, known as enhanced weathering, by essentially applying this broadacre 2 fields in similar to lime in its consistency, whereby you're able to maximize the soil contact and that contact then leads to the formation of nutritive compounds within the soil that lead to the remineralization process.
So what is it and what's in it?
Well, it's what you say it is. This is pulverized volcanic rock. It's a silicate basalt. What's in it is quite interesting based on the myriad of nutrients that it contains. The list is lengthy, but it's what, especially what some of these cations do when it comes to mineral trapping and mineral carbonation. And what makes this product so suitable for remineralization is the slow release of these minerals to reset the soil, making your fertility program work the way it should, essentially, without the limitations of a dead soil. But also then the sexy component of carbon capture. Not only that, but the notable reduction in nitrous oxide emission on a per acre basis. So that's definitely not what attracted me to it. It was the agronomic component. How can we make our fertility programs work better for us by adding this product? But if this is able to contribute to that discussion of carbon capture moving forward, and something that will be able to monetize for the grower on a per acre basis, that's a wonderful add-on for sure.
We're getting some questions here from the Badger. What is application rate of basalt rock? Is it helping to release soil nutrients, or does it contain nutrients? pH level? Ryan, you should be a politician. Ryan, are you interested in politics or just capitalism?
Not even remotely. I mean, there's enough politics involved in the crop nutrient sector, as we all know already. but the summary of nutrients contained within this rock list right here: silicon, iron, manganese, magnesium, calcium, sodium, potassium, titanium, phosphorus, cobalt, and the list goes on. But what it does to me, the beauty of it is the way that it is able to feed the plant in the ratios required for optimum nutrient uptake. So just as we formulated our compound to target crop nutrient requirements, the same thing. So this would be, like I said, a catalyst to the contribution of stimulation of microbial populations. And I'd love to send a summary of these. And what we're doing for application rates, we were able to apply some product this spring. And we applied from 500 pounds, 1,000 pounds, 2,000 pounds per acre. What we want to achieve by looking at the addition of this to other biological substrates like compost, like Ecotea, and even commercial fertilizers is how can we reach that economic threshold, the perfect application rate whereby you're having sufficient remineralization, but also capturing maximum carbon at the same time. And I think that's to be determined, because a 1 ton to the acre application rate like dolomitic or calcitic lime isn't feasible on a broad acre basis. But we'll see what works out for sure. That's what we're out to learn together for sure.
Yeah, we're looking at pairing this with the biology and also obviously with our spreadable products. That could be a great fit. Will farmers be able to get a full list of nutrients in basalt?
Absolutely, yes.
Ryan is a full disclosure kind of guy.
Yeah.
David likes the look of it, and it's a pity as he's in the UK. But you know what? We can. There's another gentleman on the call here, Bill Curran, who's from not far over the pond. I think Scotland. I don't know even know if there's a pond. Failed my geography lesson here, but
Same
yeah,
island.
Bill Curran's there. Same island. Everybody overseas shaking their heads right now. Saskatchewan farm boy doesn't know anything about the map. I just wondered. Hi, Bill. I just wondered also, we have a fellow who's an expert on this subject that I wasn't sure if he's going to be on the call. Thomas Vandecourt. Do you think you'd be interested in saying a few words? I'm going to allow him to talk. Thomas, are you there? Well, looks like he's muted. I was just wondering if your friend, I've heard lots about you, Tom, and I was very interested to hear if you had a few comments on your perspective on this product. He's muted. Well, you never know with webinars what he could be up to, so we'll just keep going. But do you have any other points to make about this product? Do you think that's kind of covered it for now? Obviously, it's a very deep topic. If you talk to your friend today about volcanic basalt rock dust, then the internet will be listening and it'll present you with all these articles that I see every day now. It's basically how it's an incredible amount of information out there about how a lot of people are looking at this in the pure carbon play, and we're very, very, very interested in that. Essentially terraforming the atmosphere, taking CO2 out of the atmosphere, carbon out of the atmosphere.
Dan, some of the articles that you'll find, you talked about rabbit holes earlier when it goes to, the quest for information. It's really good that this is happening in the fall. Hopefully people throughout the winter months have some time to go down some of these rabbit holes. But, even the opponents and those that aren't presently open to looking at the qualities of this ancient product when combined with the other technologies we've been talking about, it's fodder for discussion moving forward, I think. And the more discussion we have, the better, because still, if you ask me to define regenerative ag, it's a pretty broad scope of things, but I do see that these all have a wonderful place in the discussion moving forward, and I can't wait to get to the trial part that you're going to talk about too.
Yeah. Thomas, do you have some comments on your perspective from America? Oh, it looked like he had unmuted, but nope. Well, that was kind of a last minute thing anyways. So folks, I hope that you've been intrigued and your appetite has been whetted regarding the activities surrounding the Aberhart Ag Academy. We're going to push forward with this. We want candidates, a handful of candidates from every province. Not every province, 4 out of the 10, I guess. We take somebody from Nova Scotia too, if you're game. I mean, it's all good. But we're talking Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario. I got a phone call. I got heck from somebody in Montana because I didn't put Montana in there in my video, but it's all good. And what we want to do is we want to get people into this program. You're going to be networking with other producers. You're going to have the support of A&L Labs. You're going to have the support of Ecotea. And you're going to have the support of V6 Agronomy. And you're going to have the support of Aberhart Agriculture to bring our resources to bear in such a way that we can go on a journey with you to discover. Somebody was asking, any comments on the cost benefit of all the tests? Jack, that's what we're trying to determine. And, you ask agronomists any question and it's usually, well, it depends. Well, so it does depend, but depends on what and how and why. The dealer I was speaking with yesterday had a hankering for all this stuff. 10 years ago, they went down the rabbit hole on all this stuff, but how to apply it and implement it into their customers' lives is a question that we want to endeavor to get to. I believe, a synergy of biological approach and fertility, traditional fertility, is going to be the future, and it's going to morph. But I think we can use these better tools as some of these other tools we've been reliant on since the advent of the Haber-Bosch process really aren't going to be as seamly or as accepted or relied upon in the future. So we can do better with biology. I really believe that we can make better use of our environment and the soil and the nutrients that we apply. But people got to get paid. That's at the end of the day. If we do all this, if we invest our hard-earned money here on looking at how we could bring this to the market and there's no results, I mean, where do you go from there? And so we want to understand the biology in our soil at the farm. We want to know how we could integrate this stuff on our farm and with our customers here to make everything into rocket fuel here to get more yields, which is how people get paid. But I'm so interested in this carbon play, man. We should have bucks flown out to the west here where you just, this just be a beautiful thing. That's really, really gets me excited. So we had a message here from Thomas. For whatever reason, he couldn't make the audio work. You could check your preferences and try the audio, but we have run out of time. It's gone a little bit over time. So I am looking for candidates, and I do want the skeptics, and I do want to find people that we can start out, at square zero and say, we didn't know anything about this and we wanted to know more. And through this process, we've learned more. We've come to these conclusions over time. That's something we're really looking for. And of course, we need agronomists and our dealers to come along on the journey with us, because there's going to be an element of execution. But I wanted to reach out to the public and see what is the public's interest in this, and who wants to take a chance and see how this works and try and figure it out on their very own farm. So that's what the Aberhart Ag Academy is about. We're going to have really nice leather jackets for all the participants. We're going to get together in the real world, together in person. I promise at some point, you know, we will get together and we'll commune, we'll wine and dine, we'll talk about it. But this is a way for us to understand what our Danny Ottenbright just put his hand up. Yes, Danny. Yes, Danny, you can be in the academy. We'd love to have you, and we want to know your opinion and others. So thank you so much. I thought of this on the weekend, and here we are. We're launching. So, but thanks to everybody for coming on this journey with us. We're really excited to get started. Contact us directly if you want to be part of this initiative. And I'm telling you, this is going to be a really neat club. It's going to be a focus group. Rob Sake was on the call. Harvey and Terry have been in the Power Farm group for like a decade. The stuff that you learn from the other people in the group doing the same thing with the same questions, immense value. And I promise you, we will make it worth your while. You'll be compensated for your time in various ways. It's a democracy. I want to hear from you what you guys think is fair. I really believe farmers should be treated fairly on that. And I realize everybody has a lot more questions, but we will be developing this program as it goes. And I really hope to see it grow into the future, something that we can really hang our hat on and be proud that we helped develop some of this technology. So it's Friday. It's been a crazy week. Jill, thanks so much for partnering with us as always. You guys, your soil health test was really the inspiration for doing this when Nevin said, like, we can measure it and we can be actionable on that. This is what's exciting. So thanks for coming on, Jill. I really appreciate it. Oh, you're on mute there. Oh, and I forgot the secret handshake. There'll be a secret.
There. Yeah, it's good. I'm excited as well. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah, so there's some interesting comments here, but we better wrap this up. Thanks so much, Dale Overton. Really fascinating stuff. I'm looking forward to working with you guys.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ken Sabatier, who worked behind the scenes to make all this happen. Ken, I'm telling you, he's a great guy to work with. I love that military background. He should have been a general. Ryan Brophy, thanks so much, my man.
It'd be a great adventure. I look forward to being part of it.
It's gonna be a crazy adventure, which I love, because the opposite of that is boring, and which I cannot stand. Boredom is the enemy of purpose, and let's not go there. Let's move forward with purpose. And to everybody that came on the call, I just seen an amazing cross section. I mean, you're always a little bit nervous putting this thing out in the universe, but man, we got a great response and all of the great participation. You know what? We're gonna circle back, and we're gonna keep informing and educating and communicating on all three of these elements going forward. We're going to keep everybody up to date. It's not in the Academy about what the Academy's up to. So with that, appreciate all the questions and the comments. Have a great Friday. And please, if you're watching, don't be passive. If you want to be part of this, reach out. And we want to work with you in the Aberhart Ag Academy. So thanks, everyone, for a great webinar. Bye for now.